Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Dannie Davis is a dynamic entrepreneur and business leader with a proven track record in outsourced marketing, advertising, and sales for Fortune 500 clients. He is the CEO, Managing Director of Spade International Group, and over the course of his career, he has built and led management teams that have successfully launched brands into new markets, cities, and even countries. His leadership isn't about just numbers, though. It's about building a system, a team, and a culture that wins. Dannie, welcome to the podcast.
It's good to be on. I appreciate that intro. It's kind of hard to follow.
Look, I'll clip it, share it around, let everybody know how badass you are.
I'd appreciate it.
While I wanna jump into some of the emerging markets and kind of how you're doing that, I'd love to just start with culture.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
The culture. Hey, what's not to love? Whenever you're building a business, whenever you're around, people who are excited about what they do, excited about building partnerships, excited to learn and grow, especially in our industry, it's kind of hard not to have fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the culture is really mostly about, networking, right? Getting information from people who are doing the right things and from people who are, actually doing those things on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Right? We like to pride ourselves on, I do, we do, you do business. So everything that we do in our business, we teach from the ground up, and individuals who are in that position, they've also done the same.
That's great. Yeah, I love popping around on some of your Instagram and some of those things. I like the mentorship and the group effort. It seems like you guys work on a lot.
Yes, 100%. Very team oriented. We typically don't like to do things alone, right? A party is, with more than one person.
What was it that sparked that? Did you come into starting business just with that mind frame, or did it kind of build as you just kind of pursued what you were doing?
Yeah, so actually, I've always been part of a team. So my mindset always was about being around, people who had the same goal as me. But I was able to find, an industry that also, shared that interest.
Mm. Did you come from kind of a sports background, or was it just?
Is it the jawline? No, I'm just kidding.
When it's that strong, what you gonna do?
Yes, I did actually. I played football, baseball, also did weightlifting in high school. My brother actually ended up playing at the NFL level, so I always had, someone to look up to in that regard.
Nice. Do you feel like you kind of treat your work a little bit kind of in a sports mentality of everybody lifting everybody?
Yeah, 100%. Right. There's no goal that can be reached by one person. I'm a very strong believer of that, and everyone always knows that a team is only as strong as their weakest link. But I always think that if everyone has a similar goal, then there are no weak links. Right.
What is it that you feel like you look for? So obviously that independent growing is super strong. We want people that can grow independently, but what is it that you look for to know that someone's going to be able to really, build with the team?
Yeah, someone who's coachable, right? I think learning anything, you have to be coachable. You have to be willing to, take some L's, I like to say.
Yeah.
There's no learning without L's, right? So that's the biggest thing. Someone who's coachable, willing to learn, and excited.
Love that. Let me get on this then. How do you notice the people in the group that are going to be the ones that you can elevate into that leadership stuff? And how do you know which ones you want to kind of give a little extra to push?
That's a great question. It's something that we've always had trouble doing, especially in our recruitment aspect, because, nobody writes 100% committed on their forehead.
Right. Yeah. I think I would almost say that's part of today's culture is there's always always a little bit I'm going to hold back until I know I should go all the way in.
Exactly. Right. And it happens when you have a lot of options, right? And think about buffets, there's a lot of options, a lot of distractions out there. Yeah. So really we just want to, give our best effort to everyone who, gives us their time. And I think that's the best thing to do. Just give every person that you're willing to, grow, teach, and develop, just give them 100% of your efforts. And then they decide from there.
And just kind of let the froth rise to the top, I guess we'd say.
Exactly.
All right. So take me back. We're now talking moving into emerging markets. What's the first thing that people could kind of think about before they even try to step into a market?
Yeah, 100% is mostly demographic, right? There's a couple of reasons why a business would fail. Lack of capital. They just don't have enough to move into that market, or they're just not knowledgeable about that market. They're doing solely off passion. And really just make sure that market has the appetite for that particular product or service that you're providing.
Now, what do you find is a helpful way to find that out? Are you using social media, the ask.com kind of things? Like, what is it that you're honing in on to get an idea of the market that's already existing?
Yeah, one is we have a broker or a client that kind of helps us out with that aspect. But the biggest thing is obviously traveling to those markets. I'm a very big advocate of traveling. I actually graduated with my international business degree, so it's always my passion to travel and do so. But with that being said, we're always sending out teams to test those markets beforehand.
Okay. And are you looking at more of kind of a ground approach first before you kind of start doing any kind of, paying for media or any of that kind of stuff?
100%. Right? Social media is only developed in the 21st century. And I think the face-to-face, the in-person is really like the bread and butter of every business. Right? If you take the human aspect out of it, it's kind of hard to have something that's long-lasting and something that has, that actual organic factor to it.
Do you find that that's been a bit of a challenge, being that so many people are moving, post COVID and everything, we're all on these cameras 24/7. Do you find it's been harder to get people in person for some of this stuff, or do you feel like it's still similar what you're doing?
I honestly think that it hasn't really changed too much. I mean, COVID was a time that we all had to spend a lot of time in our homes, right? With how do I say this? Netflix and Uber Eats were our best friends for like 6 to 12 months, right? But people actually realize how much they like dealing with people for the customer service. I mean, I can give a couple examples, right? Nobody likes the automated voice box, right?
Fair.
If I sent you an email, with like maybe a product or service that I was offering, it'd be a hard chance for you to open it unless super early when you first look at your phone or right before you're going to bed. So I think like having that in-person interaction just gives further in the conversation.
I like that. When you're working with, obviously you're building out teams, you are traveling. What is it that keeps you somewhat grounded on the middle ground? Because we are in the age of overwork, and we all feel like we're supposed to be 24/7 this thing.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you use to kind of switch off and focus on keeping that balance?
We have this saying in our office. It's like, know your why, right? I think the biggest driving factor of anyone is knowing exactly what they want to accomplish. So whenever things get hard or I feel like I'm being overwhelmed, to just remember my why.
Yeah. Do you just do you allow that to then plan out a good time to take a quick break and a breather?
Yeah, right. It's called like after work, right? I sleep 8 hours, and that's what resets me.
Good deal. And are you still into sports? Is that still kind of your relaxed kind of deal to get the stress out? Are you more just a gym buff now?
Oh, I'm always in the gym now. I'm actually getting back into the habits of going at least once or twice a day. I have a couple of friends who are doing the 75 hard challenge.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
seeing that everywhere right now.
Oh yeah, so it's a very big thing. So I mean, in the gym also helps me get back into my roots. That was something that through middle school, high school, and even into my college career, where I was able to like work out, have that team environment. It's always easier to work out when you have other people around you.
What would you say if you had to start a business and you guys had to do as much as you can in 90 days? What would be hit the ground running? Where would you focus?
Finding a mentor. I'd definitely find someone who I could, get feedback from constantly. I think that's the biggest thing where people don't hit their goal in the amount of time they want to, is because they do it themselves, not constantly getting feedback, and they're only looking at it from one perspective, which is their own. I think that's the biggest thing. So I'd first focus on finding a mentor, then creating a routine and a system that's something I can replicate. That way I can have, one system turn into someone else who can do that exact same thing, and then multiply that, so on and so forth.
What did you find, and where did you find a mentor? What was it that got you kind of going in that direction to begin with?
Yeah, it actually happened right after COVID. So it's good that you brought that up. So
perfect.
Right after COVID, I found a mentor who, offered me a position over in Orlando, and I lived in Tampa at the time. And I actually used to drive from Tampa to Orlando every day. And I did that for about 6 months before I decided to move over to Orlando. But that's how committed I was.
Yeah.
That's about, I'd say, 3 hours in the car while everyone else was, at home cooking dinner or probably watching Netflix. I was listening to podcasts, on phone calls with my mentor, right? Doing networking calls on those drives. So I would say I had, 15 extra hours of work than everybody else in the company.
And the extra hours to absorb, right? I mean, you'd be surprised on what people can get out of podcasts nowadays. Of just my wife laughs at me because I used to have to drive to Atlanta back and forth pretty often. It's about 3 hours from where I'm at,
Oh wow.
and I would always either listen to podcasts or even like I don't know if you know who Eckhart Tolle is.
I haven't had the opportunity.
Eckhart Tolle he's a mix between spiritual and some other stuff, but he's mostly kind of in that spiritual world, and he talks like this. My wife's like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna fall asleep. Turn that off." But when I would drive back and forth, it would get me so present or listening to podcasts that I could just learn and absorb that I loved going on long rides. So people would be like, do you want me to come with you? No.
You already have a passenger in there.
Oh yeah, it's my school time. Like this is when I get to learn and absorb on my own. Are there any podcasts that you found that have been really helpful for you that's just kept you focused on what you're doing?
Yeah, there's a couple actually that aren't particularly in my industry,
Yeah.
but one's from Mindset. It's Jay Shetty, right? It's a wellness podcast. I'm sure you've probably heard of it.
Yeah.
And the next one is Earn Your Leisure. So
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna check that one.
those are my top two.
And give me another one. What is it that you think people miss when they don't find a good mentor or someone to actually help them learn the paths as they're building these industries?
I mean, I would say not having a mentor is kind of like learning how to cook without a recipe. You're just really just throwing things together and hoping it comes out right.
Yeah.
And I don't cook, so that is not my strong suit.
Uber?
Yeah, Uber Eats or have HelloFresh. Now they give you the recipe and they kind of take it from there. But I think the biggest thing that people miss out on having a mentor is just like they don't get the feedback. They don't get the road's already been paved for you. Why go to the woods? Right?
That's fair.
So then school wasn't always my strong suit, but I got it done. But I would say like having the smart kid in class sit next to you, it helps out a little bit.
That does. But I think that's kind of the thing. I find that people that end up building businesses, they don't usually say, yeah, I killed at school. They usually say, I had a lot of common sense. And then when I got out of school, I learned everything I could.
Yeah. I would agree.
What would you say is one of the things that you got from your mentor that is almost a daily practice for you now?
Oof. I think having systems and routine is really the biggest thing, is because as humans, we're not naturally a species that is used to doing the same thing over and over and over again. But having consistency and discipline and doing those same, I would say, boring actions repeatedly for a long period of time is what gets you the success you want.
Yeah.
Some people get burnt out or they lose focus or lose momentum whenever they're going through those routines.
When you moved, you went from Florida here to New Orleans, right? You're based in New Orleans now?
Yes, I was. That was one of my bases in New Orleans.
Are you based here still in New Orleans?
I'm actually looking to open up and expand into Tampa.
Oh, so going backwards.
Yeah.
Forwards, but backwards again for you. What is it about New Orleans and Tampa that are really good spots for you?
Oh, wow. Well, family is a big why of mine. I actually have family in both parts.
Oh, okay.
So, I have, family. Actually, it's called Pensacola. It's about 3 hours away versus the, 8 or 9 hours away from Tampa that I used to drive to see my family. So New Orleans is very close to a hometown. So I wanted to, go into a new market that also had, less competition. So it'd be easier for me to grow. And I think a lot of people also forget about that when they're doing a market expansion of the competition as well. And it was a newer market. It was close to family, so I could still see my family while also growing in a brand new market. And then Tampa, same thing. I have family over in Tampa. That's also where my alma mater is as well. So I have a lot of families and friends, a lot of connections, and a strong support system.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's super helpful. When building the foundation for your company and the culture that you've kind of created, was there a mind frame going into this, like here's our pillars, or was it as you're kind of building everything, you're figuring it out as you go?
Great question. I think this is also something that most business owners miss, is your ideals are of course your own and the pillars that you want to build your company, but it also has to be the same ideals of your team, right? You can't run your company off only your perspective. You have to have a group or a team effort that has the same values.
Yeah.
And they grow a strong foundation for your company. That's to grow something that lasts. It has to have a common ground.
What's a story about someone you've worked with in the past, brand, that you felt like you weren't sure if you're going to be able to get the accomplishment that you were able to, but ended up being much bigger than you thought?
Oh, wow. That's a hard one. I mean, I don't really see myself as someone who has a lot of doubts.
That's great.
And it's because it takes some time. I wouldn't call it delusion. It just takes
Yeah.
confidence, right? You can't think negatively. And that's one of the things that we also stress in our company of, we call them the 8 steps to success. And one of them is starting the day with a positive attitude. And I think having a positive mindset and positive outlook of what can be accomplished, it's much more valuable to spend your energy and time thinking about the positives rather than the negatives.
Mm-hmm.
And always seeing the good out of something rather than seeing the negative, because that's what you are as a business owner. You're a problem solver. And a lot of problems come when you're the boss.
And if they don't, they're bringing them to you.
Of course. Yeah.
What's the others? You said there's 8 altogether. What are the things you stick with?
Yeah, they're just great working habits, right? These are things that if you stick to every day, that it's going to be kind of hard not to succeed. But they're, like I said, they're like the boring actions, right? So 1, start the day with a positive attitude. 2 is be on time. 3 is making sure that you're prepared. 4 is making sure you're working your full day, right? 5 is, since we are working in different markets, 5 is managing your territory, managing your market. 6 is maintaining that positive attitude throughout the day, because a lot can happen in 6 to 8 hours, right? Especially when you're calling all the shots. 7 is know your why, which I think is one of the most important ones. It's your driving factor, really that motivation. And then 8 is taking control of your opportunity.
Love that. What do you do to help people find their why? Because that's always such an interesting question for people when you first post. Obviously, most people, oh, I got to make money.
I'm glad you asked that question. That's actually one of our, if not, one of the most important, struggles that we have in our company, because we do, give the opportunity to individuals who are straight out of college, right? Who are just now finding out exactly what their passions are, what they're looking for. So really just taking a step back, and we have an exercise. It's called the 50 life goals. It's the things that you want to do, be, or have, by the time of, you leave the planet or leave the earth. And, that helps us find exactly what someone's looking for. So for my why, I was traveling. So I remember when I did the exercise, a lot of mine were visiting different countries, different states, right? Different regions. While someone else said maybe a little bit more materialistic, but sometimes those actions or those whys are what leads us into, finding out exactly how we're going to reach that goal.
Yeah, I like that. And that's why I kind of went into a lot of the mentorship for you, because I feel like that's such a strong, has that always been something in the back of your mind? Is like, whatever I build, I want to build something that I can bring people with me? Or did that just develop as you were kind of focusing on what you wanted to do?
That definitely developed as something, I kind of wanted to do as I growed. Like I said, my why was, kind of more, I wouldn't say selfish, but it was more like myself. Like, these are things that I want to accomplish. But later, as I grew, as I, started working more and more as a team, I started to realize that anything that I want, I can get from helping out someone else. Right? And that's kind of how, the Bible talks about it all the time, of just like, being a servant, right, to the people around you.
When you're first getting a new client and you are trying to figure out the next best step for them, what is usually your first kind of analysis for that company or the brand, whatever they're working on?
That one I have to sit on a little bit. That one's a good question. I mean, like I said, we work with a broker, so they kind of help us find the clients, and the market research is pretty much already done before we start.
Okay.
And also having a mentor, someone who I can bounce off ideas with this person.
Yeah.
Hey, does this look like a good investment? Does this sound like somebody who we can, foresee the future, potentially being a profit for us, or even vice versa? Are we the right company to help out this client? Right. And have that second pair of eyes.
And do you always feel like the ground first approach works best for you guys, or is that just kind of the strategy that you guys tend to use, so you lean towards companies that would benefit most from that approach?
We mostly our customers that are, our clients that we work with are typically leading for that approach. They already have a pretty nice base, which means that they're already well known. It's typically not a client that, or startups. We usually work with clients who already have millions, or if not billions of, revenue already saved up or wanting to throw into this campaign.
Got it. So for an example, a sports drink company or something that's already, big in Buenos Aires wants to venture into the U.S. market, you guys kind of hit the ground around New Orleans and hit up, Mardi Gras time and make sure that they're getting seen to introduce.
Yeah, more or less. We actually wouldn't have to wait for an opportunity like that. So like I think before, these clients are already well known. Clients like T-Mobile, clients like Amazon, and many more.
Does anyone not know about Amazon? Where are you guys dropping off?
So they pretty much already have the awareness done. We're just help them, spread a little bit more towards their specific demographic. For example, T-Mobile is looking for more like the business side. So of course, everybody knows them as a consumer cellular, but now they're focusing more of the small to medium-sized businesses. So they're a different demographic. So they help with that.
Okay, that makes sense. So give me one more. What is the hardest lesson that you did not want to learn, but you might have had to learn it twice?
That's a good one. I think the hardest lesson I had to learn that no matter how successful you are or can be, it can be taken away. Nothing is guaranteed.
Have you learned that one a few times already or just once?
Oh yeah. Actually, it only took me once to learn it.
That's great.
I definitely that's definitely a lesson I do not plan on learning again.
Great. So in the structure of this mentorship that's kind of been a thing, where do you see that future? Do you see yourself going further into the mentorship with your company, or do you see you venturing into the company deep enough that the mentorship might become kind of a second tier thing?
Great question. I mean, that's actually what our foundation is kind of built on, is that mentorship aspect. So I typically, look in the future to continuously grow that kind of mentorship strategy and, help other people have the same opportunity I have at such a young age. And that's really what it is, just giving the opportunity to the next generation.
I love that. What do you see you guys shifting and moving into in the next 5 years? Obviously, stuff's changing nonstop. What do you see you guys possibly shifting with?
Oh, just bigger clients.
I like that.
We're getting bigger. So in the next 5 years, we're hoping to expand the organization to all different parts of the U.S. I'm sure that they're already looking into expanding internationally, but I think just having bigger clients, right, having more opportunity for people to venture out into their passions, regardless if it's telecom or that B2B.
All right. If someone was looking to get started either with you, let's first say someone started with you as to work with you and what you're doing, to maybe get under some of that mentorship, what would be the best way for them to do that?
They can, of course, contact me. I have an Instagram. We also have an email that, hey, if you want to reach out to me, I'm more than happy to sit down and have a conversation, or even share around the office.
Awesome. And then if it is a company that's looking to work with you guys, where's the best place for them to start?
Oh, great question. We typically have a broker that works with us, but I'm usually the liaison that usually helps with that.
Okay, so they can just reach out straight to you?
Yeah, straight to me.
I like it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, man.
Hey, it was a pleasure.
I'm interested to see what you do, my friend.
Hey, I'm excited. We have big plans. I'm excited to see where we are in 5 years too. Hopefully we can have a conversation. I
was about to say we'll renegotiate and figure out where we're at then, and we can rehash this podcast thing and see how many millions you've taken down at that point.
It's been more than a pleasure.
All right, man. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see you guys on the next one.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.